What's up, everybody? Welcome to Saturday night. We're going to have a good time. I'm Brian the Grizzly here with Anzo. What's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me once again. Always a pleasure to hang out with your brother.
So we were talking and we were saying, okay, I needed one more episode, one more time to talk about Severance before I put a pin in it hopefully not till for 3 years, but hopefully for a year and a half before we get a season 3. But I need to
Hmm.
get all these theories out, all these questions out. So I really wanted to talk to chat and, kind of see what they're thinking and, kind of get all this stuff, air all these things out. And so we can all understand we're on the same page on what they did not talk about, what we did not get answers to.
100%. And it's also good too, right? Because after this, you can always go back and, like, when the season starts again, be like, oh, we'll go back to that last episode and we have all the theories that we planned out there. Which one was good, which ones weren't. So, absolutely.
Okay, so we already talked about the season finale, but my question to you is, where do you rank this season? How do you feel like the season was as a whole? Because I've heard people complaining about the season as a whole. Not individual episodes they love, but they don't think they did a good job of completing the season. How do you feel?
I don't understand that. I thought the season was good. I think it's better than season one, to be honest with you. I enjoyed, I think, every episode except maybe one episode that wasn't, and it wasn't that I didn't even like the episode. It's just I was like, I didn't like all the flashbacks and all the stuff like that. You know which episode it was,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But other than that, man, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. The season finale wasn't my favorite, but it was good. People are saying it's bad. I don't get it. It's not bad. Just ignore it.
I feel like people are confused by it, and what season finale historically is supposed to do is supposed to answer a lot of questions and then put forward new questions.
Whenever.
I don't think it did that. But I think it did good things anyway. It didn't answer all your questions, but it did answer some, and then give you a whole hell of a lot of new ones. And it's going to, I think season 3 is going to be totally different than season 2. It kind of closed the book on a lot of the characters on their arcs.
I agree, 100%. Especially the way it was going, right? Because you had things with Dylan that was going on, and that kind of ended, but there's still a little bit more because it looks like there's going to be a revolt in Lumen with the Innies, right? So
Yep.
even though the wife stuff ended, that new part came in too as well. So I think they did a good job of closing up some of the threads that they had and opening up new ones. I mean, you can't ask for much more when you're watching the season finale, right? So,
I agree. I agree. We got Jeeves in the building. Is there anyone here besides me?
what's up, Jeeves?
So, hey, y'all. Appreciate you coming in. I know a lot of people are going to come in late. I didn't get this whole thing up until, 3 hours ago. Work, sucks.
100%. Sometimes life gets in the way, you know what I mean? And you got to get
Yep.
home and then rush and then put everything together, and it's work, man. This YouTube stuff is work for sure.
Well, and you can tell if you don't put the time in. That's what it is. If you don't put the time in, you're going to have all type of disasters. All right.
100%.
All right. But before I get into my questions, because I have a lot of them, I have them all
Mhm.
written out, and I want to discuss them. Did you even have any questions that you felt like they were unanswered that you wanted answered?
Um, Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to think about that. I think there was a few things that I was like, I wish they would have gave a little bit more. Oh yeah, I thought, and I was hoping we would have got a little bit more on Gemma on whether it was her choice to go there or they kidnapped her or something like that.
Mhm.
But I can also see that if the next season is going to be centered around a lot of Gemma, then I could see them handling it in that season. I just thought that they were going to get to it. At least something more in this season. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that too. I think that they really kind of skated around it, and they haven't talked about, was it really an accident? Who was in the car? What body did Mark
Mhm,
identify? And I actually
mhm,
think that's probably what the whole point of the 3D people that we saw, holding signs and pointing and
mhm,
stuff. That's probably the
mhm.
whole point of them being in this show at all, to show that they could print 3D images of people. and
I
then their
agree.
body like it.
I agree because we still haven't got to remember the. I think it was the first episode. We seen that little thing
The dude.
watching Mark. Yeah, the dude
Yeah.
watching Mark, and it looked like it was like a clone of Mark or a body double of Mark. So we still need to get that kind of information on what's going on with that. And like you said, if that's the case, right? I think that's a little bit of hint of what they could have did with Gemma. They put that fake body in there, you know.
Yep. They staged the car accident, put the fake body in it, and that's what it was. She
Yeah,
says, I've been sick
100%.
all week. I've been trying to stay away, but I look forward to closure because I think the last episode was unsatisfying. And I've
Ooh,
been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing a lot of people unhappy with Mark's decision.
decision.
And it seemed like it was against his overall character arc. The things that he's been doing and the things they've been saying, it was against that, you
Yeah,
know?
but you see, and I think that's where people like I guess are having the problem with it. As I get it, they went through all of this trouble to get Gemma, but that was Audi Mark. Any Mark was totally different, right? So I could see any Mark doing what he did. I could see it. Like I don't have a problem with that.
And other people were upset with Helly because one thing that Irving said, the way he found out, he figured out that was Helena, not Helly, was that was cruel. Helly is never cruel. She's a lot of things, but she's never cruel.
Hmm.
The look
Hmm.
she gave Gemma kind of looked cruel.
It kind of did, but I'm also thinking maybe it wasn't cruel kind of way. You know what I mean? Because I watch a few videos and it's like, yeah, I think they know, that they're screwed. They just want like one more minute with each other. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Just
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more time together. So I think that's going to be a big part what's going on. Plus, if there's going to be a big revolt in Lumen, then they're going to have way more than a minute together. You know what I
They might.
mean? So.
They might have some power and some, staying power, and maybe they stay on the seventh floor. And this Audi Mark's
Right.
the guy who doesn't get around.
Because I think they would have to stay on the severed floor, right? Because if they go on any other floor, it's
And they're
going
no
to be
longer.
Audi Mark, right? And the
Yep.
minute it turns to Audi Mark, he's going to be
He's
trying
out.
to get out. Yeah, he's out. Yeah, he's out. So I think it's going to be very interesting the way they're going to pull the situation in season 3. But I got a question for you, right?
Okay.
Because I know we're still waiting for Tank and them to get in here. I seen a video where they were talking about where they're like they don't think they're gonna give Helly a baby because it
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of weird. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yep.
What do you think?
That's actually one of my questions. I believe they're definitely going to give Helly a baby. Not just any baby. I think she's going to have twins. That was the whole point of Kier and Dieter. Having that entire discussion was laying laying the grounds for having twins and each by a different person.
Mm,
Two different eggs, two different times and all that stuff, and having twins that are totally different.
that would be interesting. You see, when I heard the video too, I was like, I still, I mean, this is Severance, so I could still see them doing something like that. It brings a lot of tension, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I definitely could see that happening. So I wasn't like down with the not being the pregnant stuff and the reason why they said it, but yeah, I could definitely see there being a baby involved.
And I mean, with the Kier part, I mean, the Kier babies, we saw that in opening. Everything that's coming to open has come to fruition.
Yeah,
Even that when Mark's in the back of his head and you see it pulling through, we realize
mhm,
that eye that you see is actually Helly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one part in the intro, right? It pans out and you see Cabell's face with a light on it, like she's been
Mm-hmm.
watching everything. So
Mm-hmm.
of course we know that she's watching it. She probably still been, and she still has a connection there. So I think there's a lot of things in the intro that have played out in the show. So
100%. And anything that hasn't will.
yeah, for sure, 100%. I
All right.
agree.
Jesus has a question. She says, I still think it was all a dream. I think the first episode will have him open the door and go out with Gemma.
Jeez, I love you for sticking to your guns. Stick to your guns. Stick to it. If you think it's a dream, stick to that, right? Because I had this thing in From where I said Donna was gonna die, and I said it. I kept saying it. Donna didn't die. I was wrong, right? But I stuck to my guns. So stick
But
to your
eventually, if Donna dies, you always been right.
yeah, just not the season. You know what I mean? I didn't get the right season, but it's okay. So stick to those guns.
I think they could do that, but I always hate those type of episodes. Just like you have with if you watched Family Guy, that whole episode with Stewie
The
and,
daughter,
and
yeah,
yeah, and Brian,
yeah,
and they go
hmm
through all the thing, and then they say, "Oh yeah, that was just a simulation."
yeah, yeah.
You don't want that. You don't want it to be a simulation. So we went through all that, all the ups and downs, all the emotions. I don't think that they're going to do that. But if they did, would I be surprised? Nothing about the show surprises me anymore. They do something, I just say, they do it.
Facts. I'm there with you. I don't think it's gonna happen either, but still stick to that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if
No,
you're right,
then you're going to be like a genius.
facts. They come on here and be like, "I told you."
And I'll just be sitting there like, you did tell us. You've been right so much. How do I not just say, yes, you're right? We got Nanette in the building. Say, hey, Jeeves. Hey, Spoiler
Hello.
Kings. Appreciate Nanette. Thank you for coming by. We got B in the building. What's up, Brandon? So, what up? keep your hope alive. That's the episode where Stewie kills Lois. Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Since I was trying to wait for these guys, but it's now been 15 minutes, I'm going to bring up the first question.
There we go.
All right. The first question is, why does Cobell really care about Mark? We all know what I think. I want to know what you guys think. Why does Cobell care about Mark? You answer first, though, Anto.
It's gotta be that she knows that's her son, right? It's gotta be that because it makes so much sense that the only person that she really cared about with the Audi life was him. She lived beside him. She cared about what he was doing. She was giving him cookies. You know what I mean? So I
The
think
whole
she
time,
knows.
yeah, the whole time
Yeah,
she's always
yeah,
doing extra stuff for him, no matter what. Involved in Devin's life. You're right.
absolutely. So here's a question I'll ask you, right?
Okay.
Do you think that she helped Mark and Gemma get into Lumen?
Well, see, the first time they ever see Gemma and Mark, they're giving blood at a Lumen event.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, what was Mark already chosen? Then
That's a
did
good question.
Lumen do something to Gemma to stop her from having kids? Because they always knew they needed an inside way, a way inside to get her.
So, do you think at this point now, do you think it was still more about Mark than it was about Gemma?
I think Miss Cobell chose him. That's her boy. She wanted to do it. She refused to do it with anyone but him. And then
Okay.
Lumen agreed, and then all this was set up.
So you think Gemma? I think Gemma and Mark's meeting was set up. 100%. I believe that was set up.
I do
You know what
too.
I mean?
I do too.
Now, of course, you can't determine whether they're going to fall in love or not, but you put it there. You know, they probably read their charge to both single, this and that. So hey, let's put this together. So I agree. I think Mark was always the chosen one,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it was. It's hard to say because I think like his connection to Gemma, that's really what got it over. You know what I mean? So maybe they needed Mark to have that connection before they could actually put him into the situation.
I'm going to tell you why I don't think so about that, but that's going to come up a little later.
All right, no problem.
We got Fernando. He said, "What's up, everybody? What's up, Fernando?"
What's
He
up?
says, "Mark might be an Egan. I 100% think he's an Egan.
Mm,
I think
interesting.
it's Cobell and James' son. James' son. I think, and then that she had to give him up because he's one of James. He's one of James.
Yeah, it would make sense.
That's why she knew about the birthing cabins and knew how to get around and all those other things.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's where they're definitely going to go with that 100%, right? Because all of a sudden she really cares about him, and it would make sense as to why she was always hard on him,
Mm-hmm.
that motherly love, you know what I mean?
And
So,
also, she was always involved in his life, no matter what, inside or
yeah,
out.
yeah,
She wanted to be involved, but she couldn't because then you'll lose the idea that all that stuff, your parents and your sister and all that stuff was
mhm,
real. You'll find out that you were always adopted. She didn't want to do that to him, but she wanted to be in his life.
right, right. Yeah,
So,
I agree. I agree.
but yeah, I definitely think he's an Egan. I think that's something that they're going to deal with, and I think they foreshadowed that because with her saying, "Mark, I care about you," but they just left us a cliffhanger about why.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's funny because there was no reaction by anybody else. You
Yep,
know what I mean? Like, I care about you. Like, Devin
'cause-
didn't even give her, because I'd have been like, wait, what? Why?
exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
So maybe Devin knows.
Why would Devin trust Miss Cobell more than anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It would make sense that that's the first person she would call. You know what I mean? If she
Yeah.
if she
We're going
knows
to
her.
trust her no matter what. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah.
Will Helly become the Audi and Helena the Innie? And is Helena the one who in control in the final episode?
Um, so it's definitely Helly R. She's in
Mhm.
control. I've seen the interviews there. So, but will they? I think they may be like. So when we watch what they did, they're erasing. They pretty much erased Gemma's memory. Now they have that, right? And so I think they might just try to erase Helena and put Helly R there, right? You know what I mean? What do they
I
really
think,
need the innie for anymore?
but why show us the end of season
How
one the overtime contingency? If they could just switch it on
switch back. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and just
yeah,
switch it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. I think that's what they'll probably do. I think they'll switch it to where, you know, Heliard, because I think, and I say this last time we watched it, I think Heliard might have made some sort of deal with the old man. You know what I mean? And that's why she did what she did and ran off with Mark. And that deal may have been to switch them. So I could see them doing that too.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if she already made a deal with him or she will make a deal with him. But
Yeah.
James definitely said, "Hey, specifically, I think you are the one. That's my Helly. You're the one with Kira in you, the fire in you."
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I think she's pregnant with twins.
And so they were talking about like the egg thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they were saying like Helena's supposed to, or the James is supposed to take his body or Helena's body or something like that, and he eats his eggs raw, and that's why he was saying he wished Helly would have ate her eggs raw or something like that. I don't know. It's weird what they're doing with that. I'm curious what you think.
I think the whole point of splitting the egg. That's what they're doing. I don't think it was just the whole severing the egg. I think they're splitting the egg
Hmm.
because I believe both Helena and Helly have separate eggs.
Oh, interesting.
So now you have a egg for Helena, an egg for Helly, and then Mark impregnates both of them on separate instances. But there's literally a baby that belongs to Helly, and there's literally a baby that belongs to Helena.
Mm. So what do you think they'll do if they see Kier in one but not the other?
I think that James will, even if he has a chance, push one to kill the other, just like Kier killed Dieter,
Interesting.
which is interesting because in that aspect, it's very much Cain and Abel because
Yeah.
Cain killed Abel.
Hmm.
I think the same thing is going to happen. Kier's killed Dieter. Same thing will happen with Helena and Helly. One will have to kill the other.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I like
What
that.
up, Nikisha? How you doing? Just getting here. Appreciate you jumping in. Helena's the one. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, as I said, I think that they're going to get a deal, some type of deal. James is going because they blew up all of Lumen's plans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they have to think on the fly, and all James knows is that he doesn't love Helena, but he loves Helly.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to give her the golden ticket.
I like that.
So, oh my God, Brian, I want the same thing. It happened on One Life to Live. I think that's where I got it from. The 2 separate eggs. I think that's exactly where I got it from. Oh man, I think that makes the most sense. And then having that once again, that Cain Abel idea with they're making Kier into this godlike figure. So having biblical stories really helps with the whole idea of it.
Ooh, that's gonna be tight. I like that.
We got Sully in the building. How we doing, Spoiler Kings? What's up, Sully? Apparently, I was waiting for Tate to get here, so I know he told me, he's like, I just got home. I was like, man, what you been doing all day? He's enjoying being with the family, so he'll be here as soon as he can. But until then, we got some questions to go over. So I don't know if they'll spend that much time on Helena with babies, twins, etc. I think there's a lot of setup for it, and that's why I think that they have. And then my question would be, why would they go through this whole thing with Dieter and Kier? What was the point of Dieter and Kier?
Interesting.
That's my biggest problem.
So if they do, then we know it's going to go past the next season, right? It'll probably go 5. But You're right though. If this is going to be the last season, which I probably doubt it will be, I think 5 is where it's going to go. So yeah, I could see them doing that. I could see them ending it with her pregnant, I guess.
I think they're gonna show her like little hints of stuff. Like towards like episode like 6, you see her throwing up.
Well, hey man, they already showed a hint of it already. She took off her shoes, and when women are pregnant, their feet swell, right? And she did it twice. There's 2 times in there she didn't have her shoes on. So
2 separate eggs.
Yeah,
2 separate pregnancies.
That's interesting.
So, I don't know because I'm sleepy. She says, my daughter and I want the next season to be from Gemma's point of view, for her to be the focus like Mark was in the previous focus. She says, I think that would be an excellent storyline. So we want to intro the show all Gemma's innies in different outfits we saw in the season. I think the reason why they even went through the way they deconstructed the characters in the season finale, because that's really what they did. They deconstructed them the way we saw them, and they kind of tore them down a little bit. And I think they did that so now everything's different for season 3. So season 3 could actually be totally different than season 2, just like season 1 was totally different from season 2.
Yeah,
like
I can see that.
You totally change it up, and we're getting something totally different.
I can see that.
So what up, Tank?
What's up, Tank?
What's up, man? Sorry for being late.
Because I was like, for me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was gonna talk about Tank. That's all.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna say, because for me, like I said, I think the next season is gonna be a lot of any Mark. You know what I mean? Because anytime like Outie Mark comes out, he's gonna be trying to get out of there, and I think that they're gonna do a lot of spending time with Helly and Mark. So I think it's gonna be different. I think it's definitely gonna be a different season than we've seen so far.
Yeah. I know you guys have been talking about like a bunch of like what could happen next season and stuff like that. I saw somebody say like if he wants to talk to it, like Outie Mark, he knows he can just go downstairs, and then find a way to communicate. Whether it be another tape recorder or drawing board, something, So like, I wonder if like he's like, we want to talk, but if I bring you down deeper, then you have to go through me still to go out. So it's kind of like you can have your freedom, but it's through me. But it's also not really kind of freedom. So I can see that being a big thing, But I think Gemma is going to be the main focus point for season 3.
I agree.
I think actually Helly is going to be the focus point of season 3. And the
Ooh.
difference between Helly and Helena, and that's going to be the big difference to the point where I don't think they're going to stay in Lumen. I think Lumen moves them somehow. Does the overtime override? And
There's so I looked up the system functions. So there's the overtime one, but there's also one called Beehive. There's one called Clean Slate. There's one called Elephant. There's one called Freeze Frame. One called Glasgow, and one called Branch Transfer.
Yeah.
So so yeah.
But I think they're going to use, because they're going to use one of those to make Helly the outie and Helena the innie. They're going to totally switch them up. But then they're going to make sure that Mark's able to only like function like maybe in like the cabins, a big enough cabin, like he can, if he stays in the cabin, he can live with Helly. Lumen does it that way, somehow. But Gemma's still going to be trying to figure out a way to get to Mark. But I think that kind of happens the whole thing. Keisha says, I want the first episode to show the night that Gemma died and her perspective, so we see what really happened that night. G says, Tank came in with the deep voice. Hello, ladies. The whole car accident was fake. Gemma willingly went to Lumen. They probably promised her a baby if she helped them.
That'd be interesting.
I've heard this before. I've heard it to a point where, so Mark said to Gemma, hey, let's just stop trying. He says, let's stop trying. So to her, if you're a woman and you were trying to have this baby and he just broke apart that crib, and the next thing he says, let's just stop trying, let's just be ourselves and do whatever, that could break someone down, right? And she was leaving to go to Lumen. She was leaving to go there already. She got there, they brought her to the floor and all that stuff. Then they set up the car accident with one of those 3D printing of the body of them. It's like it's the whole point of showing the 3D printing of those people, of Mark, of Devin, of Dylan, and of Irving, the one we saw in Orpo. So that's the body that she saw in the car accident, and that's the body they actually did the autopsy on. All this copied exactly, so the body would be identified technically by those things. How do we make sure the dental records were right? Because that's why she was in the dentist's office, the first one.
That makes a lot of sense. But I want to know, like, when he said he identified the body, right? What did they show him? You know what I mean? Like, because if he actually looked at her face, unless, like you said, maybe they did some cloning thing or something and plastic surgery or something like that to make it look like Gemma. Plus, being in water, frozen water, your face going to look a little bit different, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, I can see them doing that.
I just think they set it up no matter what. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they got her blood because they already showed her donating blood. They got the dental records. They showed that. They got other stuff from her doing the IVF kind of, stuff. So, they have a lot of, very personal, identification, when it comes to like DNA and stuff. So, well.
So, geez, I think that is correct. Said, Brady, you creeping on us participating in other chats behind our back? This is funny because you brought that up, so I wanted to ask this question. See if I can find it right. Why does Lumen have an entire department for mammalian nurturable, for raising goats? An entire department for it. if they're only there as sacrifices? Any answers? Anything? Any thoughts?
Well, I think the goats are essential to what they're trying to do. So I believe it's not the first time they've sacrificed a goat. You know what I mean? Because she says like, how many more do I have to give up? So I think that the goats are essential for them, and you're gonna have people, you know what I mean, raising them that are severed so that they don't know what's going on in the real world.
Yeah, yeah, and also like you said, like that one dude, was it this season or last season? I think it
Last season. I mean,
was it last
it's
season.
season 2.
It
It's season 2.
was season two.
Season 2.
Where they stumble in, they're like, oh, they're it's not ready yet. So people are like,
Hmm.
oh, what? But Nick, now looking back at it, it's like you probably have to like breed a lot of goats, because if they have to have certain what the tempers or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then like how many are failures, so if and then they had to do it at least 25 times with just Mark, like did they do it before with other stuff, like like I don't know, like it seems like it's not the first time they've done it for one person kind of thing,
So
so
there aren't ready is the first season. Yeah.
was it the first thing? Okay, I don't remember.
And
Oh
then
yeah, they're right. Yeah.
when they were talking about the goats, he asked if the goats wasn't used the word, right? I can't remember what the word he was, what they used if the goats were this, meaning that
Oh,
the
and
goats
Drummond.
had to, yeah, meaning that the goats had to be in like a good spirit, right, before they could sacrifice it. So
Yeah,
you're right. That's why they need so many, because maybe not all the goats are in good spirits or what they
yeah.
need. So you gotta have abundance of them.
Yeah. Like this had to be like this perfect goat, kind of thing. So
I have a few thoughts on that, but we'll get to that in a second. So I was streaming another creator before this when I remember y'all were talking Severance. I was trying to wrap it up immediately.
I gotta go.
Chief says, thank you for your loyalty, Nikisha. So I'm a little loopy right now, getting over the flu or something. Yeah, she's been taking some medicine.
Sucks.
Yeah, we all hope you feel
Oh,
better.
yeah.
Man, also glad you came in for some closure. This is what this is about. I want to have some good closure about over these things. So you guys are saying that I think it has more to do that with what everyone else is doing, what the other refiners' mysterious work is. So I'll ask you the question: what were the other refiners doing in their mysterious work?
I don't know.
I have no clue, bro.
Because now we found out that this isn't the only location either. Like this is a global thing.
Hmm.
So because we got those other people from 3 other um departments or whatever. So yeah, I don't know.
And because Mark said he finished 24 files, right? So
Mhm.
she had 24 different personalities on them. But those other guys finished files too, right? We seen
Hmm.
Dylan like complete. They talked about quota and they've reached their quota. So that he is completed files too. Has to be for somebody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay.
think it's for Gemma.
Yeah,
He says, I think there are other victims like Gemma.
could be.
This is a
Well,
closure, as in the end. Does it have to end? Never ends because we gotta wait 18 more
yeah,
months. So before we start talking about it again, you gotta wait to get a little bit closer to the end. I think closer to it.
yeah.
The closure for the season. I think the last episode should have answered more questions. It left too many things open. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, but also what I was thinking too is so they were focusing on Gemma on getting rid of pain. What if they were trying to do it for other feelings as well? I mean, maybe not getting rid of, maybe learning how to amplify certain things, how to, um, emotional pain, physical pain, how to like remember something, that you might have forgotten. Like, I don't know, it's like if they're working on this, like, are they doing other things similar to this? That's what I'm kind of like, like, hey, here's a pill, here's something that can make you smarter. Are they tapping into a way to make you smarter? More likable or more,
I don't think they're trying to. I don't think their mysterious work is to help anyone. I think it's all about their master plan. I think their master plan still kind of revolves around the board. So when they asked what are the other refiners doing their mysterious work, I remember Drummond being upset that Dylan was being fired because he's their best refiner. The best refiner. If what they're doing doesn't matter, then why would it matter that he has the best refiner? They don't have much other room or other rooms there. They only have like one other set of rooms. So I don't know if that's what it is either, or do they have family members that down there either? Because they wouldn't remember if they did. But is it possible that the other refiners were refining people for the Egans or building something for the Egans? Each one of the board members.
Here would be my question, right? Because if they are doing other experiments and other people, wouldn't they have come across each other at one point? Right? Because they searched that building left and right. Like even when she was looking for the hallway, left, right, up, down, this, you know what I mean? So you would have come across somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, they accidentally found the goats, right? That's at least one.
Exactly. Right.
But now we found out about secret rooms. Yeah. So it was like, how many are hidden? How many are people like just? I don't know. I mean,
as much as it's taken for just Gemma, can you imagine all the things that they have just going for Gemma? Can you really think they can handle 15, 16 other people around there doing it?
But that's why I don't think they can. That's why they're probably like worldwide, because those other companies, those other places are doing their own sections, right? It's not just tailored to one spot, because that would kind of be messed up if it was, right? Like sooner or later, Mark would walk.
Why would they not want Dylan or Irving, still refining? Why would they have them at that place instead of refining where someone else is?
Yeah.
That's why I think that they're working on the personalities of the Egans by pulling the tempers of the Egans to build the board up. They're literally building the board.
They're building,
through their tempers.
That's possible.
I think Ragabi has someone locked on the testing floor too. And that's why she's doing as much as she can.
What if it winds up being Melchek? What if Melchek is like her hidden, like her mole, her inside man?
That was my theory.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think they're related in some sort of way.
But he's able to leave. He's not, he's not severed. He's able to walk out. He's able to be in the overtime. He's able to make all those other moves. So that's why I don't think he's doing that. I think he's going to end up being on our side. He's going to end up being on the indie side. But I don't think that's what she is there with him.
So here's the thing I would say with that. Sorry, Tank.
No, go.
Melchek is a company man, right? That right there could be where the divide is between the both of them. If Ragabi is going against them and he's the company man, he may know something, or he may know she has an issue with them, and they doesn't want to have nothing to do with her. You know what I mean? So
you guys didn't read the Lexington letter.
You're correct.
There's another company. There's other companies like that. They talk about explosions and the explosion thing. There's other companies out there going against Lumen. There's a total different, there's a huge revolt over.
Yeah, this is the revolt that they talked. They didn't. You know what? I'm disappointed they didn't talk about it at all in season 2. Like not at all. They didn't even mention or anything.
Talked about it in season 1.
They did it a few times.
Didn't PD talk about that? Remember, PD was talking about the company. So that's why I think the Lexington letter is telling you that there's other things out there, other companies out there that are going against them. So not everyone's all for Lumen, and I think they can't do as much as that you think they can. Everything has to be controlled, and they're trying to cover their tracks of what they're really trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sure.
But I think Ragabi works for one of those other companies that's trying to take down Lumen. Matter of fact, I believe that Irving was also working for that company, and Irving's comments, all those phone calls, was to Ragabi.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones working together, and I think we'll end up talking about that.
But I still feel like it has to be. Excuse me. There has to be somebody on the inside, like, because even if they work for a different company, like that's who I was gonna bring up, because I'm like, you have to kind of start going down the list of like who's like, drink the Kool-Aid kind of stuff, and definitely, who is it, Drummond, like he's like in Melchek, you see the cracks, but like you said, like he's already kind of like doing his thing, and I feel like he's gonna switch. But Natalie, like, could she have already gone through that? Like, I was a company man, and then I see what they did, and then I kind of flipped, and I'm working with the outside people now. I don't
know. I can see that.
What's up, B?
What's going on, bro?
Not too much. Took a nap after I got home and slept longer than I meant to.
All right. Let's see. I think that there was a cover. They aren't doing that to get rid of pain. The past CEOs and the Egans are the board. Their consciousness exists somewhere, probably in those bodies, like in that Twilight show, inside the mannequins and whatever. Yeah.
I agree.
But they're to be able to put them in there, they do them by their tempers, and that's what they're refining. They're refining the Egans. Remember when Jake said Helena would sit at his James said Helena would sit at his revolving. And what is a revolving? Could it be him taking in some of the personalities?
Yeah,
they're putting these walls up and they're building them, being reborn as something else.
Yeah, being reborn. I agree. Yeah.
Like a revolving door, getting back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They sever Gemma so they can take turns coming outside using her body.
Oh,
that makes a lot of sense. I like that one. That makes a lot of sense.
That's really fucked up.
Jeez, I think they may maybe the end of the show, the Indy and Audis compromise like a timeshare, take turns sharing the body. That's funny you say that. I actually don't think they're going to have a happy ending like that. I think what's going to happen is that the Indies are going to have to be comfortable with just being the Audis, and the Audis will become different people because of the Indies are the purest form of who they are, and they'll make them into better people, but they will have to be okay with just becoming one person and really integrating. There has to be loss. There have to be parts that are that you're losing something. I think what's going to happen, the Indies will have to give up being who they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to split consciousness or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't see the show ending happy. If it does, it's probably like one person's going to end happy. Everyone else is going to like.
There have to be stakes. People have to die.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. It'd be bad.
No, Nakisha, the any Audi thing is way for people to live forever in someone else's body.
Agreed. It's about eternal life. I agree.
It's always been about eternal life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Lexington letter adds so much context. It does. Also, not just about eternal life, but the second coming of Kier. If he's a godlike thing, right? Godlike idea. The second coming of him, second coming of Jesus, second coming of Kier, will be the greatest day ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they thought was going to happen. If they were able to get this done with Gemma. You definitely could be right. That would be a sad and tragic. Yeah. Someone on the inside could be the tagline for this show. You're right. I still don't really know about Cabell's goal is. I don't trust her, not even a little bit. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she I'll shut up. Keep talking. No, she just never. We just never got a. No, I was just going to reiterate what Nikisha said. She never mentioned like a real goal or end game. What she's doing. So that was a definite loose end that I was kind of questioning. That's all. Go ahead. I will shut up.
No, I think that. Well, first of all, I need you guys to talk because I'm tired of talking. So, but I think what we saw her saying, "I care for you," is going to open a huge, big thing. I think that's the whole. Remember my idea about her being Mark's mother.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to open that up. But that was the string that if you pull that too hard, it's going to open up this huge thing. And we're going to find that out if Audi Mark ever comes back, or she gets to talk to any Mark ever again.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Me either, Nikisha," and she's so weird.
Yeah, Patricia Arquette killing it.
I do like a tragic ending. You do. You want to hear the worst endings of all time, like, and then they all die. It's like, what? She said, "If I found out Cobell was my mom, I would need so much therapy." But how about James is her father? Is his father, and Cobell is his mother, and that's how she knows about the birthing cabins. She knows about all the James kids. He talks about he sired a lot of kids, and that will also give a reason why he and Helena or Helly could not be together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be a really good reason why. Well, but also I can see it like where because we already got a glimpse of Cobell is the reason why Severance is the thing. You know, I can see like everything. It was her idea. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
the birthing cabins, blah blah blah. It could have all stemmed from like her sick mom.
Mark.
Yeah,
she chose Mark because that's her baby.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right. Just so you guys know, I had 11 questions, so we asked 4 of them.
Oh shit.
Here's the 5th one. Is Helly or Helena pregnant with twins? I put Kier and Dieter in parentheses because, as we were talking about, remember the whole idea. What's the point of even telling us about Dieter?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have twins somewhere elsewhere in this episode. And we talked about having separate eggs for separate babies. What if the whole point of eating the hard boiled egg and cutting it was just splitting of an egg? The idea that each baby or each part of the severed part has an egg itself. So that baby has an egg for its own. So both Helly and Helena have separate eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So now Mark impregnated both of them, but one baby is just Helly's and the other baby is just Helena's. And then they end up having twins. Same thing like Kier and Dieter.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. But they definitely teased it. They definitely teased it. Exactly what you said. They brought in Dieter. The egg thing is like come on. It's right there in your face. So, yeah.
Yeah. If Helly and Mark are siblings, that's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
Half siblings, at least. I don't know if that helps. It doesn't. I was Devin at the birthing cabin to start with. Where does Rickon's money come from?
Oh, yeah.
Real Enigma's channel has so many egg theories on this channel. It's intense.
People are going crazy with the theories and stuff.
What if not just Gemma, not just Helena is pregnant, but Gemma was pregnant when her severed cells was pregnant. They took that baby.
That would be nuts.
And Mark chooses Helly, right? But when he's dealing with all of the rest of Lumen, because Helly's going to be the new CEO of Lumen, he finds out that he and Gemma, his Audi and Gemma, had a baby. And
That'd be crazy.
Then we find out Miss Wong is their baby.
Mm-hmm. That'd be wild. Where like, because then he's the only one that knows the secret,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then now he has to choose like, do I tell my innie this horrible news, you know, and kind of again sacrificing yourself, you know.
Does he
I don't know.
tell him, and then, or does he let Gemma finally take him so they know and they can save their baby, which is really biologically his baby too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Apple TV shared a short of wellness sessions with Deacon an hour ago. Really? Your outie
That's cool.
is pregnant. All right. What's the next question I have? All right. Where the hell is Marquez and Heliar going? Where are they heading?
Who knows?
Yeah, they don't even know. It's just run. Like, if we keep running, they can't catch us.
Do you think that there were any hints in their conversation about the equator, about where they might be heading?
Well, the way I've understood it, the equator was the severance floor, right? So, because the equator, everything above or below it, you know, that's why. So, I think when she said meet at the equator, she meant to meet on the severance floor. And
But they talked about other stuff about that whole vacation thing. Oh, I wish I could do this with you. I can't remember all. They talked about a lot of different things.
yeah, they did. They did.
Says,
But
I need to think of anything other than Delaware. And then she says, I
Delaware.
remember where. What's the other thing she said?
Wasn't it the equator? That's when she said the equator part?
I thought she said a city or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
Probably
was it
said another
Denver?
city.
It
Unless
was-
she said another city, yeah.
Yeah.
so does that mean are we losing something that's right in front of our face? That's why I need someone smarter than me. That's why I bring it to the chat. Where's your theories, B?
I'm still trying to kind of collect my thoughts after rewatching the last couple episodes. Come back to me. I have to
take your time.
especially after just waking up.
I got you. All right, Tank. What are your thoughts? What's going on? Where they're heading?
Because at first, like, I was thinking, I'm like, oh, because like I was kind of going down the same road where Anzo was saying, like, the equator is somewhere in between. So I'm like, oh, the elevator. But I'm like, that won't work because then they both turn into their own thing. So I think the actual severed floor being the equator makes sense, because if they go up, they both become their outies. If they go down, they both become their outies. Like, this is the only place, you know, that they get to say who they are. So I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if, like, are they just gonna like pretend, you know, like that, like everything's fine, or are they gonna go on this honeymoon kind of thing? Like, I don't know, you know.
Are they gonna go find where the Ort Bowl was?
Or
Yeah.
Or that empty room. Spend some time together in that empty room again.
Yeah.
Underneath some
You know what I
decks.
mean?
Underneath some decks. That's
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's really interesting because, like, they don't have a plan. Like, there's no way they have a plan, you know. So I at least Mark doesn't have a plan.
Oh no,
Helly,
Mark has no idea
depending.
what he's doing.
Yeah, Mark is just you know, thinking with the wrong head kind of thing right at this moment, you know.
No, he's very much along for the ride.
Yeah. So yeah, it just, I think Helly might have an idea, you know, what she wants to do, but also now I'm really kind of doubting her a little bit more now, you know, ever since her and James, you know, the dad, you know, they had that little conversation, you know. It was like, you know, like because she's smart, she knows, you know, she knows who she is, and she knows the power she holds. You know,
Mhm.
so she's for sure going to take advantage of that.
No, she's going to be the new CEO.
She's been taking advantage of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a line? I don't know if I don't remember if I'm. I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong, but wasn't there a line about like the equator, like being a continent or being so big that it becomes a continent? Am
Being
I
a building.
remembering? Yeah, like
So, yeah.
I think they might run with that on season 3. You know,
Yeah.
with the innies like kind of completely taking over the building and like essentially making it their own continent and potentially even holding the Audis hostage of sorts.
Mhm.
I could see that happening.
They have to get control of the security office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even the Luman logo kind of like the word mark of it like runs along like the essential equator in the logo.
Mm.
So I think there's a little bit more with that they'll play around with or do something with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to show you guys something. So this is Petey's map. Okay. If you look at it, so mine, you can see wellness here. We have MDR here. Break room. This says team building right here, right?
Mhm.
I'll pull down the banner so you guys can all see. It says team building here. So some people might live here. Perpetuity wing. The coil of doom.
Hmm.
So my point with all this is Mark had this map. Is it possible that he has enough here to be able to get around on that severed floor and hide out?
But I don't remember. Was it out? It was Audi Mark that had this map though, right? Or was it any?
Weren't they sharing it because PD was giving it to him, but he was giving it to him inside? It was any Mark that was there inside.
I know. I go. I see the one guy because I don't remember him giving. I mean, I could be wrong, but because the whole PD thing was such a weird, like blip, like
Yeah.
it happened so quick.
But that's the
Yeah.
point. I think that it's there and no one's talking about it, so that means
Mhm.
it has something to do with the next season.
MDR, because I'm trying to just like look at MDR.
The understanding this team building, we were saying where's the orb bowl taking place? Could it be taking place right here?
Right there.
They never actually left Lumen. Just saying.
Yeah.
He says around the corner, that's where they're going.
Yeah.
They're showing their age, acting like teenagers, acting first, thinking later. I'm wondering how many innings there are. That band is at least 50 deep.
Yeah, that was a big band.
Yep.
They're running in a 1970s dream sequence. It was on film. So I wish we got more PD. He was funny.
Same.
Yeah.
So that's how they filmed movies when they was inserting music into different scenes back in the day. I think they have something with this, and they're going to use this map. They know the break room is. They also know how to get to the elevator, right? With the left, right, left. They know their way around here.
Yeah.
I think they can hide out for a while, and don't let the innies take control of MDR.
Yeah, even that says some people might live here. I mean, the
Yep.
Go people, the Go people, I
But they're severed.
probably live there.
They're severed though, so I don't know. And
Yeah,
I
but
was thinking
if you're severed, do you live down there?
maybe. But if you're severed, why would you need to be severed?
Yeah.
There's no outie to go
Hmm.
to.
Yeah.
So, but I was thinking that the Cure kids.
You think they're still down there, right?
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
still there. He's still
Kinda like,
controlling them.
yeah, where else would they be really if you look at it as a whole?
Jesus, but if they enter the wrong place, they might turn back into the outies.
Mm-hmm.
But if they stay on the severed floor, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think as long as they're on the severed floor, they're fine, right? And
Don't go down those stairs. Don't go into the elevator.
and even though it's big, we still don't know how big the severed floor really is. So there are probably a lot of places where they could hide.
I'm just
I
wondering.
don't know. This map is awesome. That's why I wanted to go back to
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah. I haven't seen it since right last season.
Mhm.
And it said this is for O&D. It's for research, but just not all. This is not to scale. It could be much, much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a sec, guys.
Yeah, which we know it is because because this is just a drawing. Irv gave you directions, and that was a lot of lefts and rights, a lot, a lot more than this drawing has. So
No, I mean, look at what it could be.
Yeah.
I did it left, because left could be just going to a circle, left, right, right, left. They might be taking all the way around the break room, back around here, through this because you have another hallway back over here, back here, back over to there to this thing. And then what's this mind thing? Is there a whole control segment of Lumen?
yeah, I mean, it could be where Dylan went, right? The control room kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So they better get to O&D and make some more hatchets.
Yeah. Also, the drawing in the person in the bottom corner and on the right side there, that's throwing me off because it's like it's 3 arrows coming out of his head, but it looks like it's out of the 2 like the eye sockets, and the other one is just like on the side. So it's like
I
just,
thought that
I don't know, I
might
just find that
be,
weird.
be severed.
Yeah,
three different times, 3 different ways.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's important, but I thought it could be. So I thought at least look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in season 3, I want more of the outside revolution, the people getting angry, the activists or whatever. I want more of like PD, whether flashbacks talking about PD, or stuff like that, and I want more. I think I want more definitive answers of just certain things, like what exactly are they doing, what the purpose is. And I'm not saying like it needs to be flat out said, but if you give it like hints of what it probably could be, I think that's good. Because are they the whole pain thing, like you said, like is it to like rebuild, Kier and redo all this board stuff? Or is it something that, like, because they've been building up to things and letting us have all these theories, and then it's an easy explanation? Like, could this all just be pharmaceutical capitalism? Like, like we want to make this pill because we want to make a shit ton of money. Like, that's why. Like,
They already have all the money, and
well, rich people never have enough money.
But that's what
they want more money. They want more control of the world and power.
I think it's power. They want more power, and then that's what they read the Lexington letter.
Yeah.
So here's the next question: what is next for Gemma? What does she do now?
Tries to save Mark. Like, I think that's going to be the main goal, trying to save Mark, figure out what's going on.
There's
And she,
absolutely no way she's just gonna go about her her business and keep moving. Now she's gonna try to save Mark for
and
sure.
she has to be careful too, because she still has a chip in her head, and they may want that chip, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's what's going to be a lot of the season two of either her trying to save Mark or Lumen actually going after her, one of the two, maybe both.
Mhm.
Okay.
I didn't even think about that. That chip is probably the most important chip that anybody in all of Lumen has, right?
They were going to
So,
kill her over it, right?
well,
Yeah.
well,
You know, but you don't think they could just always just change it to a different personality?
turn a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Casey, come home. Like, okay.
That's
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
But
got to
that's why.
be.
But that's why it's important for MDR to be in control of the seventh floor.
Mm-hmm, where they control the switches and stuff like that. Unless they introduce something where Miss Cobell has like a tinfoil hat, basically, that like
Some type of
disrupts
blocker.
some
Mhm.
kind of blocker, Magneto helmet type of shit. So
Mhm.
yeah.
No.
What you think? What are you, Birdman?
No, that's kind of piggybacking off what Anzo said. Like the only thing that I've really thought about is there's no way she's just gonna turn on her heels and do what Mark said. Just go about her business. She's gonna try to get back in there. She's gonna try to do some, you know, eh, which really raises a question of that chip in her head. What are they gonna do with that? Yeah, they're gonna she'll figure out something to get back in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
What you got, Tank?
I mean, I'm just kind of going with Anzo. Is like I think she's going to do what she can to save Mark. Because obviously they love each other. Like it's almost like they are soulmates. They're kind of like hinting at that. So it's gonna be interesting with her meeting Devin. Again, what that is. I think we might get some backstory. I'm curious to see what she knows about Miss Cobell, and stuff like that. I'm curious to what Miss Cobell knows because I wonder if she has some secrets that we haven't heard yet. Because she knows a lot. She knows a lot. But yeah, but I think she's going to go back into the severed floor somehow, which is gonna suck because that's the last thing you want to see her do. Is like don't do it, don't do it. And she's gonna do it, and you're like
So none of you think that the story that the doctor told her is going to resonate with her, and she's going to go into hiding for a little bit because she's so depressed about what she just saw Mark do. She doesn't know he's severed.
It could, but you would need to find a way where she leaves the grounds while escaping Cobell and Devin.
No, I'm
I'm
saying that
assuming Devin's got to be out there. They got to be out there waiting for him.
They
right?
probably will grab her and take her back to her house.
Yeah, and then you easily tell her, and then just like, hey, this is
What
is
she
what's
doesn't
going
want.
on.
But what if she doesn't? She saw what she saw and it broke her heart so much she doesn't want to deal with anything.
Like that could be where it's just,
It takes her time to recover.
that she just got her heart broken.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows she saw when Mark and her first saw each other again after all the years, so
Doesn't mean that she doesn't remember the whole part when she was Miss Casey. So
no.
she doesn't know he's severed, and also all she knows is when the doctor told her that he met someone, he's happy, and they have kids.
Yeah, but also, I mean, but when he got her out of Cold Harbor room, and she became herself again.
Yeah, they hugged and kissed. He never said anything about what happened.
No, but yeah. I don't know. I hope they don't go down that road. I feel like obviously she's hurt. Obviously, she's got to handle that. But I just feel like it's an easy explanation.
Mhm.
I don't know. Emotional is ever an easy explanation, especially someone who's been trapped for 2 years.
Yeah. So the company's messed up, and and then even more so, like, oh, who did she run off with? Oh, the daughter of the owner of the company that I hate. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, I definitely don't trust her. Like, yeah, I think Gemma is gonna have like have it out for Lumen, like she wants to destroy the company, kind of vendetta.
I think emotionally, people are more fragile than we're giving credit for, especially being gone all that time. She knows the time that was gone.
But also she had to sit in it every single day.
Yeah. And once you're out, are you rushing to go revolution? Come run back. So every time y'all say left, right, it makes me think of the movie Strictly Business. If you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Nice to see someone acknowledge that movie too.
Oh god. Gemma doesn't have a place to live. She doesn't know where Mark lives now. Hopefully Devin is there to help. Yeah, I think Devin will be there.
Yeah.
Where's the new security room?
That's the question. Because it's for sure not in the same spot. I mean, come on.
It could be just hidden. They changed all the walls. So Devin and Corbell are outside waiting for her. Maybe they are making their way up the stairs right then to grab her. Geez, that tracks what Devin's actress said in her interview. She said that there are a lot of other scenes that they were in the car waiting on Gemma. So there are other things that are cut. I feel like Gemma should recognize Helena as an Egan.
That's what I was thinking too.
Mhm.
And then wouldn't that break her heart even more? The man that she held all hope out for ran off with an Egan, no matter what happened, no matter the reason. Because you can't reason feelings. I think Gemma knows that she's been severed and will recognize Mark as being severed. I don't know if she didn't even know she's been severed yet.
I think so. Well, she knows personalities. Because that was when we first met her. She's like, oh, how many today? And they're like, was it 6 or whatever she said? She was like, shit.
I don't know if she knows what's going on, though.
I mean, she knows she goes into a room and comes out and
doesn't remember what happened.
But definitely feels that something happened.
I don't know if Severance was a thing before she went into her thing, so she doesn't even know what that is. That's my point. So y'all last, so you must know. Yeah, we don't. We definitely know.
Yeah, we sure do.
All right, what else we got? This is a very big question, so we all can answer this. What's Lumen's end game?
That's the big question.
Yeah, it's the toughest question.
I go with living forever. I think they want to bring back the Egans and live forever. That's
immortality.
Yeah.
Okay, Brandmail. What's Lumen's end game?
I'm kind of looking at it like the Matrix. Like they want they want batteries. Or kind of like Anzo said, I really, that's my number one theory. They want drones that just kind of fall in line, but if not that, what else but immortality? But I'm kind of going with they essentially want people to act as batteries.
Okay. Tank.
I just think they're an evil company, man. Like, I think they want to find ways to better themselves. They want to find ways to make a bunch of money. They want to find ways to get power. They want to find ways to have like, mindless drones. Not really mindless drones, but I mean, basically like slaves. Well, and then like claim it's ethical. And she's like, yeah, but they can go out and not remember them being slaves. I was like, yeah, but it's still like that's the whole issue what the activists are doing.
Mhm.
But I think it's just an evil company, man. They just want everything, between money and power and even like classical evil shit with immortality kind of stuff. So, well,
All right.
what
I
about you?
have a theory. I think that they want to become more than, I think money and power, they have more than enough of anything. They have more than, they are literally, since the Civil War been basically running the world. The city is named Kier. They're running everything. They have more places all around the world. Everyone believes in them. It's this great thing. You saw at the party how many people were all for them. I think they want to become more than that. I don't think they want to become a religion. I think they want to have everlasting life within
Mhm.
their actually their tempers, and then they can offer everlasting life to anyone that wants to follow Lumen, follow their ideas, follow them. They can literally, here's literally the God Jesus, and they can show that they're a trinity with all the severed, or Helena, or Heli, whatever, Kier and James. They could be a holy trinity. They could be a second coming of Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and they could offer you everlasting life. I think they want to be that much of a religion, because that's really what real power is everlasting power, forever being controlled.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, we already see them being very, cultish, religionish. You look at Scientology kind of stuff. So
You look at Dieter and Kier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Abel.
Cain and Abel. The devil. Who's the devil? Things like that. So their end game is putting consciousness into other bodies to live until the body dies, and then repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Batteries.
So are you talking Lumen or are you talking? I'm not saying nothing. Just saying. I literally think that's what the end game is, guys. I'm telling you. Power. Because when you have money and you have power, you get bored. So you just want to maintain that money and power forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing. All right. What will happen to Seth Milchick in season 3? Anton, you go first.
More dancing.
I think he's gonna take all those bad members, and I think he's gonna beat them all. I think it's gonna be a one-on, and he is gonna smoke all of them. I just have this feeling that he is not going out like that. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I think he may be getting fed up with Lumen, and there is a possibility that he may switch. But I'm more on the. I think we got all the switches, so I think he's going to be a company man. To be honest with you.
I think he's gonna stick and be a company man.
All right, B.
I think he'll kind of maintain his image, or like kind of the presence that he's had the past 2 seasons, while kind of going on a essentially a revenge mission. I think he's going to be a little more off his hinges, because we already kind of got hints of that here and there, especially near the end of this season. So I think he's he's going to try to maintain, you know, kind of what little fragments of his image that he has, but yeah, he's gonna try to get some get back.
Yeah.
All right, Tank.
Oh man. Yeah. I think he's gonna flip. In season 3 is when he's gonna, I don't know when, but by the end of the season he's going to, I think, kind of flip and be on Cobell's side. Kind of thing, you know. So I don't know what the breaking point is though. You know, because we've seen him stand up for himself, ask questions, and he's there. The final straw hasn't happened yet, I think, for him, you know. So I mean, maybe it might be the band fight, like Gonzo said, where he's just Neo versus all the you know, Agent Smiths kind of thing. Like, but you know, I'm curious to see what happens there, you know. But by the end of the season, I think he flips and is going to start helping the innies. You know,
You said Seth will become the new Drummond.
yeah, it
Ooh,
could be.
I can see that.
He says, Randall, but my daughter gave me permission to yell praise Kier at her high school graduation in June.
That's funny.
The funniest thing I ever had happen at one of my graduations was, I think it was either high school or 8th grade. And we had a guy in our school that there's no way he was going to graduate. But somehow at the end, he does graduate. You see, hear his dad scream, "Thank God, Benjamin!" Well, everyone was all quiet. It was like the greatest move
Like
ever.
what?
So that's awesome. What I think has happened to Seth, I think that he will be in jail. I think Dylan is going to get him, and he's going to force him to be in a made up jail designed to keep him in one place, just like they try to keep him at MDR in one place. And I believe he breaks out, but to a surprise, he doesn't run back to Lumen. He actually helps them.
Like I can see Cobell going after him to help. You know, like if Cobell is truly at least against Lumen, I wouldn't say she's like with Mark, but at the very least, like, you know, she's against Lumen. I can see her like, hey, we work together very well. Like, let's keep going.
What encourage him to want to be with her?
Yeah, that's why there's gonna be something where he's done, you know, and she's gonna be there to scoop him up and, you know, like, you know, start their like anti-Lumen super friends or whatever.
All right, this is the last question that I have, so ask it and let you guys go with everything else. Here it is. Is Irving going to return, and who was he working with? Go ahead. Say your piece, Anzo.
Yeah, he's returning. I don't think his story is over yet. And I'm not sure who he's working with. I still want to think Ragabi, but I definitely think he's coming back. We still have a lot to learn from him. So, yeah, he'll be back.
All right, B, what's it with you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way he's not coming back. Irving's definitely going to come back. As for who he's working with, honestly, I have no idea. Yeah, I can't even kind of sitting and stewing on it. I'm not sure. I'll keep it 100 on that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right, Tank, what you got?
Yeah, he's coming back for sure. Like I think he's I mean, honestly, I think the fans love all 4 of the main, you know, MDR characters, you know, so, you know, that's not that cannot be the end of Irving's story. Who is he working with like Ragabi seems like the obvious answer, but I feel like they're gonna like trip us up and like it was actually blah blah blah, and we're like what, So I don't know, or what if it's like just somebody a different party where we haven't known, what if like the head of the activists, like 'cause we've seen like some of the street level activists like getting signatures or whatever. There has to be a person in charge. So what if he's just working with them? So I don't know. I just feel like Ragabi seems like that's what it's most likely going to be, but there's still a chance because the way the show is that it's going to be like something like left field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like After Hours, it was a perfect send off to Irving. About John Turturro. They basically said that he would like to return. He kind of discussed the potential of returning. He said he feels like there might be some unfinished business back in Kier for him, especially his secret work against Lumen. So I feel like they probably do let him come back, but I believe it probably won't be till at least episode 5 or 6, as long as they can go with people forgetting about him. And then so you forget he's going to be there, and then all of a sudden he comes in to save the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yeah. I would.
Do you think everyone's coming back in?
Yeah. I would say though, like if that's it, if that's the end of his story, which I hope it's not, but if it is, like that was a good send off though. Like very impactful, meaningful, emotional, final scene with Bert. Like, yeah. But
I agree. I think that it could be a perfect send off. So
you actually think that's it for him?
I think it could be. My money would be that it's not.
I got you. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, like you said, we love all 4 equally.
Well,
he's probably working with the government or their competition.
the government's an interesting one.
And he's been a soldier, so
yeah.
That's kind of one thing we've always been not really talking about. The activists were doing their thing. Lumen, this big company, but it's like government.
Never.
Yeah.
Oh, it froze.
So I can see him and Bert will come and save the Innies in the last season, rescue them from Lumen.
And Bert. I don't know about Bert. I don't know
what
about
kind of grammar.
Yeah.
Come on, a redemptive arc for Christopher Walken. Let's go.
Yeah. But if Irv comes back, what does that mean for Bert? Like, is he gonna have to handle it? It's like, bro, I told you don't come back. Now you're gonna make me do the thing I don't want to do.
Or that could push him to leave Lumen.
Mm-hmm. Or where like I can't do it. I can't do it. I have to, he means too much to me.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I think Irving's definitely going to return. I think he's working with Ragabi. I think that's this part of the government, and I think it's also part of this growing sentiment that's trying to work against Lumen. That we're going to find that it's much bigger than we thought, and that's how they're going to get in and getting out, and that we will lose innings going forward.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, tell me, guys, what do you expect to see in season 3? What's the number one thing that you think that's going to happen in season 3? This time, Tank, you start off this time.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that happened in season 3, I think the kid or kids, possibly the pregnancy. I think that's going to be like the biggest. That's gonna be the biggest thing. There's the whole Gemma, want to say blah blah blah, everything else, but the pregnancy, like that's what's gonna like really flip everything on its head. Because now you have kids involved. Babies. So yeah.
All right, Brandman, what's your big theory for season 3?
Just an overall explanation as to what Lumen's really up to. I think if there's any time to kind of bring that full circle, it's a third season. I don't really see them going anywhere beyond a third season, especially the way with this one, especially with the way this one ended.
Oh, I wanted to hear that.
So I think,
There it is.
and a centralized Say what?
You froze for
Say
a
what?
second. You
Yeah.
froze. You've been freezing.
Okay. I don't know what that's all about. And I think there's going to be more of a centralized conflict between Gemma and Helly. I think that's probably gonna. I think not only is that going to happen, it's gonna kind of take more center stage. Those
Okay.
are my two.
All right, Anzo, what's your outlook for season 3?
Biggest thing I think is gonna be is Gemma trying to help Mark get out of that situation. I don't know how she's gonna do it. I think that's one of the biggest things going forward. I don't know if they're gonna get into the baby stuff yet. Right? I think it maybe end with them finding out that she's pregnant or something like that. So I don't see that for this season. But I definitely think we're gonna get a lot more information on Lumen. I hope that we actually get to find out how Gemma got there. If it was, her choice, or did they kidnap her or something like that. So those are my predictions for season 3.
Okay. For me, for season 3, I think that we're going to find out season 3 will be a last season. I think it'll be wrapping up all things in season 3 because it costs so much money to make each season. I don't think they're going to give them $1 billion to make 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So I think season 3 will be the last season. I think we're going to get everything kind of wrapped up. And I believe that Helly will push Mark to go be with Gemma. She will literally, like they're at a door at the equator, and she's going to kiss him, and he thinks he's just going to be with her, and she's just going to push him out the door. And then Mark's going to try to finish the reintegration thing, and you will see part of him, kind of come out through that process.
Mhm.
That's my theory.
Oh, that'd be so painful. Where like if he goes through reintegration, and any Mark starts to like merge with outie Mark, and he starts to have these feelings and this love for Heliar, but knowing Heliar, in theory, if things play out like normal, like she's gone. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
once she's off the severed floor, like Helena is not gonna
Ever
let
go
her
back?
go back.
Mhm.
So it's like, so now it's like if you see this person, you're only reminded of Heliar, and then she's basically dead. That's, I mean, very tragic. If Keisha likes tragic endings, like Mark gets his happy ending, but part of him now is any Mark, and he's forever sad because he lost that love of his life.
Mhm.
So yeah, that would suck.
Mm-hmm.
G says, I like Nikisha and her daughter's suggestion. We see things from Gemma's point of view, revealing how it was all started. I think the $200 million matters. I think that matters. And the fact that they're not going to give you $1 billion to give you is all these. It's $1 billion. That's what it would be. It's a lot of money.
What if season 3's all flashback? It's a whole prequel season.
How nuts would that be?
It's all Gemma from back before, leading up to her being taken into Lumen.
But that's only like one episode. They did all that with Mark in one episode.
I know, but what if they do it all season? You know,
I'd be intrigued yet annoyed. Like
I'll be pissed off as shit.
I'd be so pissed off.
I think people would not sit there and watch if they did all Miss Cobell's entire life in one episode. They did all Gemma's previous stuff through Mark's eyes in one episode. Why would they take the whole season to do all that?
No.
It'd be interesting if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, look at How I Met Your Mother. You know, the last season, like that whole season happened in 3 days. You know, so you know they do something stupid like that. You know, like I mean, I would give Ben Stiller the chance just because like I think he's built enough trust. But I mean, I highly doubt that's what they'll do. Like Brian said, you know, like you could tell these stories in an episode and be fine, but. Just saying, if they decide to do something stupid like that.
I mean, that it sounds like a very money-saving type of idea. So I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last things before we end this Severance thought?
No, not really. I'm excited for the next season to start back. So.
All right. Brandon, any last thoughts of Severance?
It's going to be a long 3 years.
Better not.
All right, Tank, you're next.
I got nothing. I really got nothing. You know, I'm just itching to see what happens next. Yeah, I do want to read all the extra stuff. You know, the letter, the book. You know, all the little side videos and stuff like that they have on YouTube. Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah, they did the rounds, man, when it came to the end of this show. Like they're everywhere, you know, so you can watch a lot of those interviews and stuff with them.
Yeah, they are. They are. Yeah, and also the dude who plays Rickon is pretty damn funny. Like in real life, like some of the interviews he was in and some of the stuff he's been saying is like he's funny. Like he gets what the fans are saying and he hears them and he's able to like kind of like joke around with them on screen kind of stuff. So
engaging and smart to engage that way. I like it.
Yeah.
G says they missed 3 years because of the pandemic. Why wouldn't they do 3 or 4 seasons? Even 4 or 5 seasons, 4 or 5. Because it costs $200 million each season to do, and it's one of the most expensive shows that has ever been made, especially by Apple. And to do 5 seasons at $200 million is $1 billion. And you don't get your money back the way you would do it any other. And then Ted Lasso, which is one of the most iconic series that Apple has ever promoted, had to rally to get a 4th season. Petition, all that just to get a 4th season. I don't think it goes past 3. And if it does, it goes to 4, and that's it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be good with a 4th season, but I'd have to but that's all dependent on how well they do with a 3rd season, and if by the end of it I don't feel like they're running it into the ground, because that's the biggest risk, along with
Overstay Your Welcome.
Overstay Your Welcome, especially with shows like this. I think 3 seasons is a good what's the word, fellas? Cap off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a
you know what I'm getting
ending
at.
to it. Yeah,
perfect ending. I think that's just enough to bring it full circle. But if you can, maintain the momentum and keep us invested by the end of season 3, and you do enough with a story where it lends itself to a season 4 without feeling like overkill, I'd be for it.
Yeah. I mean, season 3 would need to be as good as these 2.
It's all dependent on season 3, on where they go with season 3.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, stretch it out to 4 seasons when you can finish it in one. If you
Absolutely.
can
especially especially how much money it costs.
yeah,
Absolutely.
if you finish it in one, you do it in one.
Yeah, and Apple already they just 2 weeks ago. We were talking on another one of our shows. They already lost $1 billion
Mhm.
in Apple TV. Like they already lost $1 billion. Can you imagine losing another $1 billion just on, well, not losing, but spending another $1 billion just on one show?
I will hope that they would give us at least 4 seasons, but I won't hold my breath.
I want it to be good. If they can tell a good story and finish it in 3, I'm cool with that. If they make it to a point where season 4 seems like it's going to be a good season, I'm good with that too. So it's just, I want them to tell the story they want to tell.
Yeah.
Whether it be 3 seasons or 4 seasons. So
Execution and
yeah,
how they approach it.
Yeah.
Keisha says, I hate the last season of How I Met Your Mother. Barney and Robin should have never happened.
Yeah, I don't like to think about the last season of How I Met Your Mother. Everything was going so well until then, and then it just.
No, season 8 sucked. I liked season 9. It was funny. It just the Barney Robin.
Yeah, season 8 kind of.
It was too much. It was too much going on. Even with the idea, you're still talking about my mother now.
Yeah,
the idea that like it's taking so long to tell this damn story, Dad. Look at me, I got a 5 o'clock shadow. You see this beard?
I'm getting gray hairs now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, the way they ended it, I was fucking pissed.
Yeah, season 8 kind of had like a couple like here and there moments for me, but yeah,
season 8 was like the part because I'm rewatching it again, and we're started season 8. Season 8 is when he really goes after Robin, and I'm like, oh, make it fucking stop! It's so bad, like I hate it. Season 9 was fun, but by then, like now knowing everything about Jason Segel, like he was done. Like he's like, I don't want to come back. And they're like, oh, yeah, they're like, you could do all your filming in like half the time compared to everyone else. And that's why he was on a card trip. And did all this other extra shit, because he was checked out. He was done with it. So, which kind of sucks. But
so, I mean, 4 or 5, yeah. How many more seasons of Silo are there? 2.
2 at the moment, yeah.
They announced it. Yeah.
It's not. It's 2.
Yeah.
I read the books. It's 2. So I don't want it to end. I'm going to miss you guys. Thanks for hosting such a kind, respectful space. It's rare on YouTube to have anyone be so kind. I mean, that's the idea. You want people to be able to feel like they're, respected in all aspects of that. That's the biggest thing. You guys have great ideas, and you're like the 5th person here, so we can all enjoy what everyone is saying and just kind of discuss it. So you guys are brilliant. All your ideas are brilliant, and just appreciate you guys. So that's why we'll do one more send off the Severance before we have to we start jumping into other TV shows and think about how we switch around so we can watch The Last of Us and do another one for Last of Us and think about things like that. But yeah, that's all I got for Severance, guys.
Yeah, and just to go hand in hand with everything Brian said, thank you, Nikisha. It's really kind of people who tune in like yourself that really makes this so fun for us and engaging. So thanks for giving us the time of day. I think that's what the engagement from our viewers and the involvement really, not to speak for everyone, but at least I feel like that's what really makes this go around. So I think we all really very much appreciate that. So thanks.
100%. Yeah. And there's so many more good shows coming.
Yeah.
So and it's building a community. Kind of like kind of what Brian was getting at. It's building community and being able to talk and hang out. I think we started building a small community with Interview with the Vampire. So now I think if we focus on like one episode and really do like a deep dive on an episode, that community I think is going to grow too. So, and you just kind of come in and be part of whatever little communities we wind up having, So, yeah.
Speaking of The Last of Us, I'm still anyone else like progressively emotionally preparing themselves for that?
Yep. Yep. My girlfriend always said, like, I ain't watching it. Like, she goes, I'm not watching it. She goes, nothing good happens. Like, I'm not gonna put myself through that. So
and like, my mom, my mom and I watched the first couple episodes. My mom tapped out around the
really?
third or fourth episode.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was the fourth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, me and my girlfriend watched the first season, but she watched
what's gonna happen.
Season 2. Yeah. That's why she's like, season 2, I know everything that happens in the second game. I'm good. She's like, I'm out. You're watching that by yourself. So
I never played the game, so I'm going in blind. So that's good. I know what happens because, of course, all the online trash that went on with it. But I'm going in pretty much blind, and I like this first season, so I hope this one's just as good.
I think so.
All right.
I think so. Yeah. And if Nikisha likes, like, what do we say? Like bad stuff happening all the time.
Oh my God, that's exactly what we're talking about.
You'll love Last of Us.
There's nothing good ever happens.
Nothing good ever happens.
So I'll pop in to see what y'all doing. I watched a review of Snow White. I was working through, so I didn't say anything. But great job with Silo too. Love the chat. Love you, really do. And we're gonna, find something else we're gonna do, and we'll let you guys know. We'll message you guys, and we'll just let you know what's happening. But till then, I think it's about time for us to get out of here. Anzo, you want to say anything before we get out?
Just always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. It's fun. Don't know what the next one is. I know right now I'm binge watching Yellow Jacket and I'm on season 3. So
he's already on season 3. He started this week.
Damn.
Yeah, I started on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, I started
yesterday.
Yeah, I started on Friday. So I just kept watching and watching. So I'm gonna talk about that, but we do From stuff on Tuesdays or OC. So I always appreciate hanging out with you guys, man.
100%.
We appreciate you, man.
All right, guys. Well, Brian the Grizzly, we're the Spoiler Kings. We got Anzo. We're out of here. We'll see you next time. Thanks again. Later.
Peace.
See you guys.
The board has concluded the call.